Well, thank you. Thank you for letting me know that I'm live. Good morning. Good morning. What's happening, family? Welcome to the show. It is Michelle Bryant here at WNOV, 860 AM, 106.5 FM. You are listening to Say Something Real. And there's something telling me that today it's going to be a big dose of real, a big dose of reality. I didn't want to come. I did not want to come this morning because of the conversation questions that I believe are going to arise this morning as of the results of turn the lights on. Nigga.
Turn on the lights.
Debo trying to be all gentle about it. Hey, bro.
Hey,
she needs some lights.
It's dangerous in the dark, yeah.
Is it dangerous in the dark?
Oh, it's dangerous in the dark.
Why is it dangerous in the dark?
I don't know. I just heard a preacher preach that before.
You know what?
Grabbed the hold to it. It's dangerous in the dark.
It's dangerous if you owe some. If you ain't on no nonsense, the dark is just fine.
Oh, is it?
What's up, Adeline?
I just said he's.
But when you on that nonsense,
keep hearing
what's
footsteps,
up, Angela?
baby.
Yeah. It's dangerous when you on that nonsense. So welcome to the show. As you can hear, Bruz is in the building. Debo sitting in for Clark this morning, and Mr. Ride Out just being. Just being himself.
Oh no!
He's so irritating, dude. What did you do? But like every Brewers color cap known to man.
Hey,
this is like your fifth different Brewers cap.
I got a logo. It's the logo.
It's the what?
The logo.
I'm endorsed.
Wait, I was gonna say certified.
Oh, it is certified though. Bad. Whenever you see that,
this was not a good
certification.
This was not a good one.
Certification.
This was get you admitted certified.
Not admitted.
I'm just saying. Hey. This is a little bit much. Hey. Well, since we're talking, how are you this morning, bro?
Well, Shell, I'm doing pretty good, man. It's partly cloudy outside. So, my feelings are split.
Your feelings are split.
Yeah.
About what?
Because it's partly cloudy outside. So, when the sun is shining, I feel all the way great.
I feel all the way great.
Yeah.
That public education.
Yeah. All the way great.
I'm sorry.
But when it's partly cloudy,
Greenfield.
I'm partially.
I feel all the way great.
Yeah, all the way. Sometimes you can go halfway.
Okay.
Sometimes you can feel halfway great.
Halfway great.
Yeah.
All right.
And today I feel halfway great.
Hey, I feel like I'm talking to Donald Trump.
Nobody knows how to feel halfway great like me.
This vocabulary is
nobody knows how
astounding.
Nobody knows it better than me.
No, Debo, could you put the camera on them, man?
Nobody.
They're missing all of it.
They don't want to see it.
What should I do with my hands?
Well, look, you only show half your face anyway.
I know, man. Clark, come on back, man. We miss you, man.
Is this a regular? Does he always come in on Thursday?
You know what? I don't know. I think you need to change the schedule.
Is this a regular?
This is a regular Thursday.
That Debo is here?
Yeah, that's why
I am here, y'all.
Oh, hold on, Debo.
Ask me.
Ask the teacher.
We'll see you.
Look, is he supposed to be here?
Right.
What? Look, somebody just text me.
Uh-oh.
Y'all need to tighten up around there.
What?
I seen someone pulling up in the driveway in a gray Benz. It was Debo. See, mind another folks' business. Wow. It was Debo's gray Benz.
Wow.
See?
Y'all need to tighten up.
How we gonna tighten
what,
up?
they talking about tighten up security?
Yeah, I guess so.
Oh,
y'all need to tighten up. I see the gray Benz pulling up in the driveway.
Couldn't be one of us.
It was Debo's car.
Stop looking who.
How are you this morning, sir? Debo, how you doing?
Let me start by saying to think I thought that I
go.
missed this in the morning, but I don't.
Well, to think
But I would be remiss if I did not say.
Man, I need you to get another word. But go
Jesus.
ahead. I would be remiss.
Yeah.
I would be
if
remiss.
I did not say.
Can somebody send him a thesaurus, please?
Please.
I'm great though. Just
so
to
his
answer your question.
remissness can be addressed.
He's all remiss
very,
now.
very exciting times in the city. You know. What you say, Jermaine?
So you are remissed out.
We're dismissed now. No, but I'm good this morning, Michelle. How about yourself? What's going on with you?
Just trying to get through the day, bro. Trying to get through the day. Let me just take one quick second. And good morning to my folks on Facebook, YouTube. Appreciate y'all for being in, checking in this morning. Who got in first? Go up to the top, Debo. Kenya's in first. Like she ain't playing. And Mr. Peters, Henry Peters be right on them heels, boy. Right on them heels. What's up, Barbara? Hey, Terry. What's up, Miss Harris? What's going on? Al Walters. But yeah, Kenya, like, y'all gonna stop trying to come from my spot.
Michelle, 7:01 and 21 seconds. Where you at?
I mean, you know how our folks do. Good morning to everyone. So let me do this real quick. I have been giving, periodic updates on the situation with the young sister who is going through housing insecurity right now. And let me just say this. This system is so ridiculous. So yesterday she was told by one entity that was trying to assist her to move out of the hotel, but they would try to have something resolved for her by the end of the day. Well, they weren't able to put anything together for her and told her she needed to come up with an alternate plan. So she ended up calling me. And, so we got the challenges of trying to go to daycare because the daycare doesn't know where to drop her child off at because she's at work. She's trying to handle all this while she's working her shift. And the daycare ends up having to meet me at my office to bring me the baby because I go to the daycare. They already gone. So it's just so much to navigate. But one of the frustrations was there was a opening in a shelter for her and her son to go to. But the shelter has a rule that the clients, the individuals staying there, have to be in by 7 p.m. And she said, I work evening hours frequently where I work at. And so I can work until 8 o'clock. I can work until 9 o'clock. And she actually has a daycare that has late hours. And they said 7 p.m. And she said, I can bring you documentation from my supervisor that says I'm at work until 8 and 9 o'clock p.m. The shelter said 7 p.m.
Unbelievable.
That's the rules.
Unbelievable.
So do you quit your job and go to shelter, and then God knows how long it takes you to find another job in this particular climate we in right now? But that was one of the choices yesterday, that you have to agree to be in the facility at 7 p.m. or you can't come.
That's unbelievable.
That job that she has is her only means of support. That's the only way. That's the only dollar she has. So, of course, she didn't go to the shelter. Just other aspects of things that were just frustrating. So we were able to get her someplace to stay last night. We will be back at it again today. But when I tell you, and I'm not gonna call his name, but the brother that reached out and said, "Hey, call me." We talked. We were able to get her someplace last night. When I tell you, I was overwhelmed when I dropped her and the baby off. I just the kindness, the way people in our community respond, it never ceases to amaze me. Because I want to be clear, it's our community that has held this little girl down, this young sister down. I shouldn't call her a little girl, but compared to me, she is. But that has held this young sister down while this whole thing has been going on. It is truly our community. She has had 2 days of financial assistance in terms of helping with the hotel from, an agency here in town. But since we've been dealing with this, which started at the end of June, it has been the community that has been there for this young woman and her child. So I cannot say enough how much I appreciate it. But when I tell you I ripped and ran all day and, had to take her to the grocery store so she could have some food, had to do this. And I'm just looking like, man, this is madness. But we got to have some shelters that appreciate that people work irregular hours. People don't just work 8 to 5. And what is the sense in, I need you to quit your job to adhere to our 7 p.m. policy? Like, that sounds like some mess from the 1950s, the 1940s. And then you wonder why a lot of people don't do the shelter route. They sleep under the bridge because of some of the restrictions. Or right across the street. Yeah, at the gas station.
You see him out there now?
Yeah. And oh my God, he is out there. So that's just the update. We still working on it. We are now at the point where we're going to also start trying to just find her an apartment. I went through her with her income. She has enough to be able to afford, like we can't go over 650 because then there's a complete breakdown. And that literally is 50% of her monthly income.
That's crazy.
So we're looking, but I just wanted to give people an update. But that piece on the shelter was so disappointing because in today's situation where this is a 24-hour economy, you could be working at Amazon, you could be working, at the post office, anywhere, and not work a schedule that allows you to be back at a shelter and in the door securely by 7 p.m. for the rest of the night. Okay, that's my update. We got a couple folks on the phone line. Let me get them in. Yep, I see y'all hitting me up about David Crawley. We're going to get to all of that. Let me go to the phone line. Hey, caller, what's happening?
Good morning.
Good morning.
I want to give you some extra points for what you did for that lady. And Dr. Rideout, I have some free advice for him. And it's hurt feelings.
Yes,
To avoid hurt feelings, don't stick your feelings out so far.
Yes, sir. You taking it
And
from pulling power.
I want to give you Michelle some extra points for letting me get in before her side piece called in.
You know what? Keep on. Keep on.
Who he referring to?
I don't know, but he about to catch all these words.
Look, ride out, and you should know when somebody like that lady you're talking about, the lady with the child in the shelter,
Yeah.
call me
Wow.
because so much has been did for me. I want to pass it on.
Wow, that's awesome.
And
Man.
y'all have a good one.
Yes, sir. Appreciate you.
Wow, that's awesome.
Let me go to the phone line. But he threw some side piece. Yes. Dr. Ward go catch these words.
Don't stick your feelings out.
Happened as Donna said, side piece.
I know. See, that's how nonsense gets started.
So Lise.
That's exactly how Solis kick it. Solis, don't kick her mess.
Yeah,
Be better. Be better, Solis. be better. Happiness donuts always be on some, extra. Solis. And look, Happiness Donuts on social media got 4 eyes looking around.
Hello.
See, that's how mess gets started. Good morning. Hello.
Good morning, Michelle. Kathy, how y'all doing?
I'm good, Kathy. How you doing this morning?
Good. I reached out earlier about a week ago and you mentioned about the young lady and I offered online $100. Everybody heard me, but I never heard back from you. But continuing on, because I have offered it. I found a family. I'm not going to keep communicating with them because it's too much work to get done. I don't know how to do all that. I don't have the time for it. I found a young man and a young lady with 3 kids, 15-month-old, 2-year-old, and I think the other maybe 3. Right on Astor. They're going to the park on Juno to sleep. They've been doing that off and on for a while when they get money from DoorDash and he bikes around and makes money and he goes and gets a room. They're on the street. I took some formula stuff to them. They went to the Goodwill this weekend and got 2 suitcases and a friend so they can put their stuff in.
Wow.
This is a whole family. You can't take care of a whole family. It's very difficult. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and I'm sorry, Kathy, because it's muffled. It's a little bit hard for me to hear you. Clearly, Jermaine heard you better than I did.
I just helped out a family lightly because they're going to need a lot more help. But I tried to talk to the young man there on Astor over here on the east side by the Astor Hotel and whatever, and Nick. They've been outside back and forth for a while now. He does DoorDash with his bike to make extra change to go to the hotels. But shelters, are they so poor that you can't take a whole family, or what's going on with that?
Well, it depends on the family situation. I know a lot of shelters, if you have children of both sexes and you got a son that's over 12, that son can't go with the mother and the other children, the younger children.
Give them up to foster care or something. That's really
I don't know. I think they end up maybe going to Child Protective Services, because shelters are worried that 13-year-old is problematic in a facility with young women. It's just madness. Very few shelters will keep that family intact. Particularly depending on the age of the young people.
That's what I figured, yeah. But This is a younger person. I just thought about the teenage one, but she don't have teenage. She has a 15-month-old. I took Pampers to them. I gave her some personal stuff for herself as a female. Another kid, 3. The other one maybe 2 years old or something like that. And there's a guy with him. He don't want him to go to the shelter because he'll lose his family. I said, no, you won't. They'll get services for her, and they don't need to be in the street sleeping like that with different viruses and things going on out here. You just can't be on the street like this, and he does DoorDash. But it's a lot of people out here. I mean, this is a family.
Yeah, no.
They're out here on the street. They sleep at a bus stop. People pass by, the bus driver stops, and a friend of mine told me. So we went over there. And then on, was it Saturday or whatever, Sunday, I went and bought them some suitcases at the Goodwill. Luckily, I got a couple of them and let them put their stuff in to pull things around, like that. And then they tried to call Uber to take them to the hotel they were going to once he made money from the DoorDash on his bike. Once they see all that junk in them people, he said, man, cancel the order and left on them. I'm not putting anybody in my car. I won't be able to do the liability on that one. But it's a lot of people out here.
Definitely.
And she's not working. She's on W-2.
Nope, you're absolutely right. Thank you, Kathy, for that call. And it's a reminder. And look, let me just say to folks, because number one, I just need to be honest. I have not gone through all my messages. I have not dealt with everything in terms of people calling and reaching out. One of the things is I don't want to take any more money than I absolutely need to be able to assist. So while I was trying to figure out if any of the agencies were going to be able to come through for this family, so that, because true enough, when she gets an apartment, I'm still going to need to help her with furniture, bed, all of that kind of stuff. But I know some people, I even did reach out and say, just hold on a minute. Let me figure out what's going to be available to her before you make a further donation. And then, we get right back here, which is you need to come up with an alternate plan. So I just wanted to say that. We got one more caller. Let me get them in. I need to try to work in a couple of stories because I got a guest coming in at 8:00. I got a gubernatorial candidate calling in towards the end of the show. So the only time I'm gonna have left to talk about some of these issues is going to be after I get done with this caller. So let me go to the phone line. Hey caller, what's happening?
Good morning, Michelle.
Good morning, Angela.
How are you?
I'm sure you can hear it. I'm doing.
Okay, well that's good. You woke up this morning. That's a great thing.
Yes,
Good
ma'am.
morning, Rise Out and Debo. How y'all doing?
Good morning. Good morning. We're blessed.
You all have a blessed day. Talk to you later, Michelle.
I swear to God, I will punch her in her eye. As soon as I see her. I swear to God, I will punch her in her eye as soon as I see. As soon as I see her, I will punch her in her eye. I'm gonna be on the news. They're gonna be like, Michelle.
Host up, say something real.
Okay, for the kids listening, I'm just joking. She know I'm joking. I'm just joking. That was not appropriate to say before 8:00 in the morning.
Oh,
wait, they on summer vacation. Yeah. I got to watch everything I say until the summer is over. Can y'all send them to camp so I can talk crazy, please? All right. So look, I got to take a break. When we come back, let's just talk about the obvious. Let's just get it out, get it all out in the open. That David Crawley, Milwaukee County executive, I think, was he the first person to announce that he was running for governor when this whole thing started? He has got someone about be better, Michelle. Forget you, so please be better. Not.
You told her.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I did tell her to be better. That's right. He turning myself around on me. He announced, there was a statement that came out yesterday that he was no longer running for governor. There is additional information that was posted on social media, online last night, that he actually is planning to come out with an endorsement today. So let me take a break. We'll talk about it on the other side. Michelle Bryant, WNOV, 860 AM, 106.5 FM.
WNOV.
All right, family, welcome back to the show. So before I went to the break, I teed up the fact that many of us were caught off guard, some outright stunned, some maybe not surprised, depending on your perspective, how you look at politics, how you watch some of this information. But the announcement that Milwaukee County Executive David Crawley has withdrawn, suspended his campaign for governor of the state of Wisconsin was all that a lot of folks could talk about yesterday. And it was weird because my phone started ringing while I was out moving around. And I literally was passing a David Crawley sign in someone's yard as, somebody was calling to say that he had suspended the campaign. There have been a number of folks that have talked about the polls that have been done to figure out where voter sentiment was and, kind of get a read, put your finger up in the air and see which way the wind is blowing about how all of the candidates were doing. And I had seen some well-known polls, and then some folks had released some private polls done by their own campaigns or different organizations that talked about, who was in double-digit status, who was in single-digit status in relationship to support. There was jockeying for those top 3 spots in many of the campaign polls that many of the polling information that I saw. Whether it was Francesca Hong, it was Mandela Barnes, it was Sarah Rodriguez. I think in most polls that I saw, David Crawley was polling usually like 4th in the middle of the pack. One of the things that I have frequently said is I wondered who these folks were talking to. And that was based on just some of my own perceptions about perhaps some of the things that I'm noticing. What kind of presence do I see from these candidates in Milwaukee, in, the Black community in particular, who has been actively engaged. I'm looking at people's staff makeup. I'm just paying attention to a lot of different things about where we, are going with this race. Most people will tell you that Francesca Hong's numbers have consistently been high, and that she has ended up being one of the people to watch. Um, Sarah Rodriguez, who was the current lieutenant governor, same, you know, like I said, top three, top four positions. Mandela has fluctuated from near the bottom of the pack to up towards the top of the group. So it's been an interesting mix. So naturally, a lot of folks said, "Well, what do you think about DC getting out of the race?" And you know, mm, I'm just probably I'm just probably not a good person to ask right now because a lot of this is frustrating for me. This is the time in politics when I dislike um, the arena a lot because you will see folks coalescing around candidates that, for me, are not the best qualified for some of these roles. It was never lost on me that Sarah Rodriguez had been in the state assembly for 8 months when she announced that she was running for lieutenant governor. I'm a little bit old school. I believe that people need to put in some work, learn the ropes, understand, you know, the state in all of its nuance and what it takes to run a state. And so I was just a little put off by somebody who had only been in the assembly for 8 months and then ran for governor. But we've had people who have never served in the legislature and they run for governor. But when you look at experiences, what they bring to the table, you'll have people, hey, I was the vice president of this, I was that. And there's no actual requirement other than you be, certain age. It's very few requirements for what you have to run for governor. But just in terms of somebody, who has been in the building, who has helped to do the work, you just understand all the nuanced stuff that people don't know. What I understand this morning is that David Crawley is actually going to be endorsing Sarah Rodriguez today. From what I'm being told, from what I'm seeing on social media, in the press. And I'm just going to say interesting. I'm just going to say interesting. This reminds me a little bit of when Mandela was running for U.S. Senate, but I've seen it so many times where candidates are pushed out the race, asked to leave the race, or moved around when, groups start trying to coalesce support behind a candidate. And people will always say, it's for the greater good. We need to, in this case, ensure that we can beat Tom Tiffany so that the governorship does not revert to Republican hands. I have been very candid in the fact that many of the things that we are seeing happen punitively, detrimentally, harmfully in other states, the reason why we haven't experienced it ourselves is because we've had divided government. And we have been fortunate not to have a Republican sitting in that executive office. So having a Democrat, more specifically Tony Evers, has been an effective stopgap from many of us being subjected to what we've seen around the country. Okay. Having a Supreme Court whose makeup is different, doesn't lean so heavily conservative. We've been able to have a firewall, if you will, from some of the things that we've seen in other states. But there is a aspect to this whole thing in which, for me, I get really frustrated that many really qualified people will not get the opportunity to represent folks in these jobs and in this way. there will always be people trying to decide for us who our candidate should be, who should represent us, who should hold these positions. And frequently, if you really look at the record, it's not the best qualified person. Not saying that these people in many cases are not smart and they've been accomplished in their fields, but as I've said in other conversations, this is a job that requires a diverse body of experience. In order to genuinely move us forward as a state, to understand the people that you're working with, you know, so there was a degree of just feeling deflated, and not because David Crawley was my guy and, you know, that's my candidate and this is what, you know, I thought needed to happen. It's just because I just get tired of the process never playing itself out. Jay, can you get that door for me? But I get tired of the process never playing itself out. You know, the jockeying behind the scenes, people starting to get pressured, you know, I need you to think about this. I need you to take one for the team. Your numbers are not great. We've seen people who have not polled well and still do well. We've seen it. And again, I believe that there are orchestrated efforts. When Dan Bice was alive, I used to get in Dan Bice's behind all the time because I could always tell, and I would tell him to his face, I could see who you working for and with. I see you pushing people's agenda and messages. The way stories get covered, the way candidates get talks about, who gets airtime, who doesn't get airtime. All of it ends up being a loosely linked, unofficially orchestrated effort to give us a candidate. Because you'll see some candidates get a degree of scrutiny that others won't get. So in relationship to DC, you know, DC gonna be fine. He didn't have to give up his seat to run for this role. The pay is almost comparable to what the governor gets. It's not that far away. Of course, the ability to impact the state on a broader level is way different than just the ability to, you know, help guide what happens in the county. But it's just frustrating. It's frustrating because a lot of times you see really good people, really smart people that get moved around for some nonsense, for personal political agendas. That's how I felt about Sarah Godlewski in that race for U.S. Senate when Mandela and Alex Lazary and all these people were in it. Sarah Godlewski is a beast. She is a beast. She's running for lieutenant governor right now. But Sarah Godlewski is a beast. Kelda Roys is one of the smartest people. And she ironically is going to be on my show this morning. This was already, you know, in play. But I watch Kelda on Joint Finance, and when I say can run circles around people, just brilliant. Godlewski, brilliant. Doing things, thinking outside the box, you know, fighting, digging in, not being scared. And then, you know, she had just said in that U.S. Senate race when Lazary got out, I'm in it till the end. And then the next thing you know, guess who wasn't in it to the end? I don't know why DC got out the race, but I know that people had begun to circle the wagons. People had begun to make phone calls, you know, because that's going to be the pitch. We got to beat Tom Tiffany. We got to beat Tom Tiffany. But I'm telling people, yeah, I'm just getting to a different stage, and I've been there for a little while, a different stage in my life. You may be better politically for me than Tom Tiffany, but if you sorry, you still sorry. If you have not shown an interest in this community, you still have not shown an interest in this community. I just got a problem giving people jobs because of they are the lesser of two evils. Pragmatically, that's what we're supposed to do. Does it feel good doing it? That's why people are like, you just got to swallow hard and just go along. But some of these people get on my damn nerves because you can tell they have learned nothing, or they think they're smarter than you. They don't have people of color on their teams. They don't have people of color working for them. And yet you're going to be standing in my face talking about what you need from us. When we did that forum at the Howard Fuller Academy, I listened to the majority of them candidates talk about what I can do for Black people versus talking about what I can do with Black people. And if you talk and go look at their staffs, if you look at their campaign operations, see how we show up in those campaigns. We don't. Even for some of the Black candidates, we don't. Even for some of the minority candidates, we don't. So at the end of the day, I just get sick of Black folks always being the afterthought. But then at some point, we end up being a key component. I get tired of seeing people that are not fully qualified for jobs that keep ascending and keep being pushed and keep rising and getting these jobs. It's all just irritating. It's irritating. So, yeah. I don't know what the messaging was to get DC out the race. And I'm sure by the time I read his statement and by the time he come out with his little speech endorsing Sarah Rodriguez, which I think is complete BS. You know, I mean, I listened to this woman sit at the thing and say, yeah, I don't say the words DEI anymore. See, I don't need somebody that's going to run from an issue. And I'm going to recraft it and rebrand it to make other folks feel better about themselves. But Michelle, politically, that's pragmatic. That's what you have to do. Even companies and corporations, they're no longer saying DEI, but they're still trying to figure out how to get the same impact. I'm just cut from a different cloth. I stand on what I stand on. I believe what I believe. And I'm not going to let no racist white people tell me that the word diversity is a negative word, and I accept that, and I change the way I talk so other racist white people can feel comfortable about their life. I'm not doing it. I'm not going to let racist white people tell me that the word equity, and ignorant white people tell me that the word equity is a bad thing. And so to have David Crawley, who has this whole Milwaukee County office committed to the issue of equity and blah, 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 and you stand up and support the chick who says, I don't say DEI anymore. And yes, being governor is bigger than DEI. But we have an amendment on the on the upcoming November ballot that would change our state constitution to make diversity, equity, and inclusion illegal in the state of Wisconsin. It's on the ballot. They want to codify it into state law that anything that takes race into a factor, that takes gender into account, in terms of state functioning, state programs, state opportunities, it would be illegal. And the woman who said, I don't say the words, and said it in an urban setting, I don't say the words DEI anymore. Yeah, I can't with y'all. I can't. And it's usually people with those principled stands that won't get elected. You have to bow, you have to break, you have to bend to the will of the majority. That's why I'm glad, I'm who I am. Because I'm not. Black folks, we got a lot at stake. We do. And we got to think about which of these candidates will help to advance not just the state, but also our interest as well. Because every single campaign, every single election, every single political, upheaval, close calls, we are being told time and time again, not now. We'll get to y'all later. We'll address your issues at a different time. This isn't the right moment. We have to think about the broader, constituency. But we consistently are the people that show up for the party. Black folks show up for Democrats. Somebody just said it's better to die on your feet than to live on our knees. Black folks show up for the Democratic Party every time. And before the Republican supporters call in with your BS, I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. Because we are voting our values, not for a party. We're voting our values. We're voting for people who most closely align with our values. Those people happen to be Democrats. But even within the Democratic infrastructure, I listened to a sister be interviewed by Clay Kane 2 days ago. And I don't have her name in front of me, but it was something like, I know it was Antonine. She had I gotta go get her name. And she talked about being a Black woman working at the federal level, being one of only one in these buildings, in these meetings. And she actually spearheaded the team, the strategy for the one of the impeachment proceedings against Donald Trump. And the sister said that even sitting at that level, how as a Black strategist, as Black staff, and she worked for Pelosi. She at the height of the top of the top. She said that Black folks would still be kept out of rooms. Tony Evers hires 5 chief of staffs. Not one damn single one of them Black. Not one single one of them a person of color. You stack your office with lily white folks and one Hispanic lady whose mama was over the Republican conservative faction. And you just look at these people. Like, a lot of this gets on my nerves. Because we show up, but we don't get offered the jobs. We don't get to work on the campaigns except for Black outreach. Our voices get diminished. And I listened to this sister, and I got to go to break. Jermaine been trying to get me to go to break for a second. But I listened to this sister say on Clay Kane's show 2 days ago that when Mike Brown got shot during the Obama administration, people were called to a meeting to discuss how the president was going to talk about Mike Brown, except any Black staffer. And Black staffers who were at the level that they could have been included in the conversation. Now that's her version of events. I don't know what Obama's team's version of events is, but that's what she said. That even on the issue of a Black man being murdered, Black staff was left out. And I remember when Black reporters and journalists said that at the respective media outlets that they worked at, that when George Floyd's murder happened, many Black journalists were not given the assignment because the white media outlets that they worked for didn't feel that they could be unbiased in the way they talked about the story. So all David Crawley's getting out of the race has done is just make me tired. Can Black people win statewide race? Negroes really asked, white folks really asked, is he too dark skinned to win statewide race? Do we need somebody who look more Obama-ish? Okay, I'm going to break. But I get tired. I get tired. I'll be right back.
WNOV.
All right, family, welcome back to the show. So I told you I had, we got a call during the break that is relative to early voting, and some people have already cast their votes for County Executive Crawley, and what does that mean? I'll talk about that when I'm done with this interview, but I'd like to welcome to the studio vacationer extraordinaire, world traveler, get your money sunny and enjoy the world, Wanda Montgomery. Hey Wanda, how you doing?
I am doing well.
You look so fabulous coming off vacation. I mean, svelte, just rested.
I don't know about rested because I'm still trying to get back on our time, but
So where did you go for folks real quick that don't?
I went to Asia. So I was in Seoul, South Korea. From there, we went to Bali, Indonesia. And from there, Taipei, Taiwan. That's right. All over the place.
Look, some of the pictures that you posted, some of the pictures that I saw, some of the clothing, regional clothing that you had on, ethnic, dress, like where were you going? What was happening in some of these photos, Wanda?
Well, they expose you to their culture. So I took advantage of it. We were in Korea, South Korea, and they rent out their garb. So you can dress in it and go to the temple or go in areas.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So that's why you saw me and all.
You
and then
have to buy all of that.
No, you don't have to buy it. And people that I'm talking about, did you bring it back? No, I could have bought it.
Yeah.
Oh,
why?
Right.
Yeah.
I wore it that day, but what they did was they put a barrette in my hair. That was my gift. So I still have that that I bought home. But in Bali, same thing. And we stayed in 5-star hotels. And I can tell you there's a young man here in town, John Daniels the Fourth. We were going to Bali, and I didn't want to go all the way over to Asia without taking advantage of some other opportunities. So I reached out to him. He planned our trip on the front end and the back end. Bali was already planned. And when I tell you, I've never had this, maybe some of y'all have, where you get to the airport and the man standing there with your name on a placard.
Yes, ma'am.
So
I have enjoyed it. Yes, ma'am.
And then the
When
car is
Africa,
waiting.
that's right.
And the hotel, 5-star.
This is a young guy that played.
He's 17, 18.
I just wanted people to know.
Yeah,
this is a 17-year-old.
He's the 17 or 18. I know he's just graduated from high school, but he's traveled a lot. And when I tell you, he sent us information and said, what kind of events do you want to do while you're in these places? And so we told him, I didn't have to do nothing but pay, and I'm good. Because you go to these places, I don't want to waste time trying to figure it out.
Right.
And so by having the itinerary before we went, and then when we were in Bali, that was already planned. So we had no delays. I flew on airlines I've never heard of before, but Korean Airlines, EVA, top notch. So
and wait, because I saw
right, she saw this Black in Bali, and when I tell you, there's that's our transportation company, Black in Bali,
and these are Black folks.
No, they Baladians, whatever they call them, Bali,
but
Baladians.
But
yeah, they Black.
Look at this, y'all. When I saw, I was like, I got to have it.
And look, and one day while we were in Bali, we had a brunch, and it was at a restaurant bar that has an R&B brunch every other Sunday. And this particular Sunday that we were there, they weren't having it. But my nieces who planned the trip said, they reached out to them and said, hey, we're going to have 160 Black women here from all over the country. Will you do? And they said, oh, we'll open up. So they opened up that Sunday, and we took over. But then they said, well, can we open it up to our regular customers? So they put it on Instagram, and other people that were vacationing.
Oh my God.
They showed up. So it turned out to be, like I said, we took over the whole.
So how long were you gone in total?
12 days.
How long was the flight?
Almost 20 hours.
Okay.
But we broke it up. So we had direct flight from Chicago to South Korea, which was 14 hours.
Okay.
And then from South Korea to Bali was 7. Coming back from Bali to Taipei was 5 hours. From Taipei to O'Hara was 14 hours. It's been a while since I've traveled that far. Last time I think was to Paris, but it didn't seem long at all.
Yeah, when I did the trip to when I flew to Greece,
Mhm.
and when I did the trip to Africa, it was cool.
Right.
I'm
feed
watching
you.
in-house movies, entertainment.
And they have Wi-Fi, so I
Yeah.
could text people, I could email, I could watch TV, watch movies, I could sleep.
It was comfortable.
It was comfortable. You get on, they got your pillow, your
Yes,
blankets, your
yes.
bottled water,
And then,
your slippers, your
we
mask.
we did the lounges in the airports, the
Oh, yeah.
private lounges. Oh my God.
Yep.
Oh my God. Okay, so you are actually here for another reason.
Yes.
But there was no way I was not going to talk about that. And then you came in with the T-shirt, Lord. I'm just so excited. But
Jermaine, don't
you
say a word.
You ought to follow folks on Facebook. And what they say, closed mouth don't get fed. I was like, what? I gotta have a T-shirt that say Black and Bali. I have to. Okay, so you are here in your capacity with Black Childhood Development. And I always forget the way to say it for the entire state. So say the name.
Black Child Development, Wisconsin.
Wisconsin. And I can't believe we are coming up on one of your annual events already.
Yep.
And one of my favorites. Let folks know what we got going on.
So 2 things I want to share on today, but Brunch of Books, our 9th annual Brunch of Books, which is a luncheon designed for our children. Where we really highlight them, we cater to them. They are our special guests. And that event will be Saturday, September 5th, 11 a.m. at Abundant Faith Church of Integrity on 78th and Good Hope Road. We target children 0 to 8. And we want families to really take advantage of this. We promote literacy all year long, but this is an opportunity for us to really highlight our children, have them come, and it's right before school starts back, have them come and be the special guests. We have linen tablecloths, a full meal, we have face painting, we have, this year we have Jerry Jordan, who is a illustrator for children's books. He will be our special guest. He's a professor at UW-Madison. We will have book bags with embroidered logo on it. We have a number of sponsors that we're working with. All the children will receive books. They will receive a T-shirt. They'll receive other treats in their bags. We will have resources for families. And it's all for the low price of $0. You just have to register. Last year, we had a number of adults that came, and some of them got upset with me because they were mature adults and they thought they should be served first. And I said, the children are first. We have more than enough food, more than enough. But our target audience is our children. We want to make sure that they feel special and that they feel appreciated. And so registration is open now. So we want people to start registering. We got people registered at Juneteenth. We know that coming to WNOV has been a successful opportunity for us to promote this and really have people sign up early. Again, it's Saturday, September 5th at 11 a.m. at Abundant Faith. And to register, you can email tequila, just like the
drink,
TEQUILA at bcdi-wisconsin.org. It's on our website. You can email her if you can't find the website, and she can send you the link. But the other thing that I want to share,
before you move on.
All right.
So, Dr. Virginia Williams is listening. And she said, hey, let Miss Montgomery know. St. Matthews
will be in the house.
I mean, they come t-shirts down. I think they had yellow on last year. You see they babies coming through. And she said, and bring in some calendar money. So Miss Williams. We'll be looking for you. Daryl Williams is listed, and your speaker, he said he is a member of Omega Psi Phi fraternity. All right. And he has sent a picture, Unstoppable John, one of the books that he illustrated about John Lewis. Yep. So you got folks listening that are like, hey, we know what's going on. Yeah, and we're excited. Each year we try to bring somebody different. Last year you were our MC. And you know, Michelle brings her own following. So there were people that came not for us and not for the children, but because they wanted to see Michelle in person. You know who I'm talking about. I do. I do. And so the second thing is we do a calendar of Black children every year. And so we are working on our 2027 calendar. And so often what happens is people ask me, I want to get my daughter or my son or my baby, my grandbaby in the calendar. I want to do this. So we're announcing today that we have a couple of opportunities. We have professional photographers, because a lot of times when people send us pictures, they're not in the right format. They have they're advertising different companies that we don't want to particularly advertise. So we have a couple of dates that we are soliciting people to bring their children to have their photos taken. Now, we may not be able to use all of them, but what we can, we will. We also are looking for poems that are positive about our children, or just positive about education. Now, we don't want a 3-page poem because it got to be able to go into the calendar. And then we're also looking for ads. We have opportunities for people to put their ad in. You can pick your month, and we'll put your ad in the calendar. So we're looking for pictures, people that want to have their children in the calendar. And everybody said, oh, my baby, my grandbaby is just beautiful. And these calendars go all over the country. Yes. And Africa. So pictures, poems, and ads. And again, you can reach out to Tequila at bcdi-wisconsin.org. We do have a deadline for the pictures, the ads, and the poems is the end of July. Because we want to get our calendars done before Brunch a Book so we can give them out at that event like we did last year. So if you're interested, if you hear us, if you know somebody out there that you think their child would be appropriate for our calendar. And this year, we're looking for children 0 to 2. We're focusing on our young children. Last year was reading with families. So we had children reading on their own, children reading with their parents, children reading with their grandparents. That was last year's focus. This year, we're looking at really infant mortality, getting our children to their first birthday and beyond, so up to 2 years old. And so again, and remember, our name is Black Child Development Institute. So we ain't talking about diversity and inclusion. We talking about Black kids. Well, all right, let the church say amen. So look, I got 2 things before we wrap. So one, I've been talking about this young family that we've been assisting. As we were the daycare dropped the baby off to me. So I had a book that's sitting on my back seat that I have for Keith's granddaughter, Kennedy, that, she made us the fabulous Juneteenth drink. Right. And so I got a book for her and a card, to thank her. So it's been on my back seat. And I was like I gotta take it over to Keith. So this baby boy, he got in the car and he was real quiet. And I looked in my rearview mirror, he got the book and he going through the pages, he looking at the illustrations. And then when he got done reading, he said, "Can I get this book?" I said, "I'll get you that book."
Yeah.
I said, "That one belongs to someone else, but I'll get you that book." In the midst of all of this, sleeping here, sleeping there, that anchoring thing, that moment just resonated. It just stuck out for me like crazy. So the thing I wanted
how old is
he's
he?
5.
Okay.
So the thing that I wanted to ask you from when you started this, the growth in this program, because I remember, coming out to the one, I forgot, in Brown Deer where that one of the first ones was held, but the young people at the table, and we was sitting there with the kids. I mean, these kids had a ball. And one, listening to the show, she was like, "I brought my son and 2 of his boys. They all fell up in there." The growth of this thing has been crazy, Wanda.
Yes. And the first ones were over at Fresh Start, which is on floor.
That's what it was.
But we even through COVID, we did it where it was virtual. We believe that if you plant the seed early, children love to read. And if they can read books that are an example or a portrayal of who they are, who they can become, and they see themselves in it, that is a foundation for future. You talk to my daughter on Juneteenth. It's foundational. We start and we don't stop. And I am now, you don't know this, I am a great grandmother.
No, congratulations.
1 month old. My granddaughter
Really?
had a daughter a month ago. She's a preemie. So she was born at 1.9, 1 pound, 9 ounces, but now she's over 2 pounds. You know what I got in my house already?
What's that?
I'm building the bookshelves. I mean, I got the books because we started early.
Yeah, no, Atlas was a preemie.
Right.
He was in NICU for I think almost 6 months.
Yeah.
And so that's a journey in and of itself.
Oh yeah, yeah.
But
look where he at now.
Oh, child. And I called him yesterday. I was talking to his mother yesterday, and I said, "Where's Atlas at? What are you doing?" And she had me on speaker. She said, "He can hear you." And I said, "What's going on?" He said, "Grandma, I'm using my compass right now." I said, "Your compass?" Yes. I guess one of his aunts or somebody in her family gave him a gift card for his birthday, and he ordered a compass and a protractor.
Yeah. And he's how old?
He just turned 7.
Well, there you go.
A compass and a protractor. I said, "Well, teach your daddy how to use it while you doing it." But I just to watch this program grow, to see all of these Black, children, but children of any color that are there. Because I ran into a squad of Hispanic little kids came through.
Oh yeah.
And then so you just see that this is important to so many young people, to their families. So it is amazing to see it have grown in the way it has. I've had 2 people that said, please give the information one more time on the brunch, the email. Val, we're going to get that for you. Repeat the email for the brunch, please.
Yeah.
And then the other thing I was just going to tell you, there were a ton of comments about people who had been to Bali. Somebody said they had just got back from Bali last week. Their daughter had just got back. And so it was a ton of comments about the Bali trip on social media as well. I just wanted to flag that for you. Yeah, my daughter just got back from Bali. They also stopped at the Harley Davidson store, I guess.
Well, we was too busy with the elephants and the monkeys and the swings and the shopping. I'm going to tell you, my sisters now and my nieces are talking about, let's do a girls trip just within our family.
Oh, really?
But I'm telling you, if you go, be prepared to shop, because the US dollar buys you a whole lot more. I didn't realize that until I was there, and I wasn't trying to convert,
Right.
My daughter was like, "Mama, this is what that costs." I'm like, "I got it." And when I started packing my suitcase, I'm like, Lord, I hope I took my little scale with me to make sure.
Look,
but
I never knew the value of buying a scale. So I went to South Africa. I had to buy a scale.
But so Brunch of Books is Saturday, September 5th, 11 a.m. at Abundant Faith Church of Integrity, 78th and Good Hope. And to register, contact Tequila, TEQUILA, just like the drink, at bcdi-wisconsin.org. And we'll try and, we're putting information out. Again, it's free. Share with family and friends. This is our 9th annual, and we hope that we continue to do this for years and years to come. And I'm saying, definitely has the book space. Wow.
Madam Montgomery.
and I heard JT called in the other day and said we met.
Yes, he did. He did. Well, all right, look, I am going to wrap. We're going to take a quick break. We should be having gubernatorial candidate Kelda Roys calling us briefly to talk about the race. And Wanda, if I'm in town, and I can swing by, I'm definitely coming to see. And I'm going to just say, I love what St. Matthew's does. When they bring that crew of young people coming through, they come through as a church, and they have all their adult chaperones. It is the coolest thing to see. I encourage everyone to please take advantage of this opportunity. The joy on that little boy's face yesterday, in the midst of everything that was going on around this child, that book took him somewhere else. And so that's what books can do for our kids.
Absolutely.
All right, family. I'll be right back. Thank you, Juan.
OV.
All right, family, welcome back to the show. So I told you all at the top of the show this morning that I was expecting to speak with a candidate that is in this heated contest for governor here in the state of Wisconsin, none other than State Senator Kelda Roys. I believe we may have her on the line. Hey, Kelda. Good morning, Senator. How you doing this morning?
Good morning, Michelle. Great to be with you.
It is a pleasure. It is crazy about the timing of our conversation, but we know to expect ebbs and flows, changes. Everything is on the table going into this August 11th primary. So let me just check in with you. How are things going?
Well, I feel great. We have built incredible momentum. I have the most experience in this race. We have the most endorsements, and every day more people start to pay attention, and they want to have a governor who is ready to govern and get things done, and also one who can beat Tom Tiffany.
So this is your second run at this. When Evers ran, Malin Mitchell ran, you were the third in that bracket in terms of how you had done. So is there anything that you've learned differently between that first race and this race that you think makes a key difference going into August 11th?
Absolutely. I think so much of politics is about timing and making sure that you are really meeting voters where they are. And right now, voters are sick and tired of a government that's not responding to our problems, right? The affordability crisis, the shameful disparities that we have in our state. And I have been fighting on these issues and making progress in really tough legislative environments for 25 years. Since that race, I've been serving in the state Senate since 2020. I've served on the Joint Finance Committee, which writes the state budget. And that has given me a really much deeper perspective on state government. And I think that voters are looking for somebody who can actually deliver change, not just talk about it.
So one of the things that has concerned me, and, I don't know if it's just because of the type of work that I've done or just the way I view certain things, but legislative experience is important to me. Folks that have had the ability to understand how all of these levers work, how all of this is interrelated and interconnected. But sometimes it doesn't seem like the voters fully get that we can have popularity contests, who sent me the most mailers. Can you speak to that aspect of running this race?
Yeah, I think it's really hard for everyday people to stay up on what's going on in the Capitol, especially when we see our media really decimated. You know, you are providing such an important service to your listeners by informing them about things that they're not hearing anywhere else. And that's really a larger problem beyond, you know, this race and politics. It's one reason why we got Donald Trump, is because people are getting their own information and we're being kind of ripped apart by this algorithm-driven, profit-driven media situation that we have that does not actually cover the issues that matter to most people. And the people who are working on the ground, organizing in communities, serving in legislatures, trying to make that change.
So let me ask about the money piece of this whole thing, because in other races we have seen, and you know, influx of money, whether locally, outside groups weighing in. You know, people talk about the ability to go up on TV. You know, again, how much reach can I get? What are your thoughts on the whole fundraising aspect for this thing?
Well, Michelle, I believe we should have public financing of campaigns. I think it's kind of crazy that we basically have auctions instead of elections. And
tell people what you mean by public financing for folks that are not familiar.
Yeah, so the idea would be that candidates who want to run for office raise a certain number of small dollar grassroots contributions from people who live in their district or in their state that can vote for them. And if you reach that threshold, then you could get a match of public money, but you would have to agree to a spending limit. And that would do so many things. Number one, it would make it more possible for ordinary people to run for office. They wouldn't have to be rich or have rich friends. Number two, it would take away the stain of feeling like our democracy is bought and paid for by corporate interests, right? Special interests that are just dominating politics. And number three, it would free our elected officials from being on this, you know, constant need to raise money all the time, instead of actually serving you, right? Serving the public, thinking about how to solve the challenges that we face, how to lower the cost of healthcare, how to create better quality public schools. These are the things I care about and that I want to spend all of my time doing. But to run for office in these days, I'm not willing to take corporate PAC money. I'm not bought and paid for by somebody like Elon Musk. Therefore, that means I spend a lot of my time talking with individual Wisconsinites and raising money. And I'm proud that I have 93% of my money comes from individual grassroots Wisconsin donors, right? People just like your listeners. But that is really, really hard to do. It takes a lot of time. And I think if we want to have a government that works for us and that's responsive to the problems that we're facing in our lives, we've got to fix this money and politics piece.
And so just so folks know, there are roughly about 14 states that actually have some form of public financing options for candidates that are running for particularly statewide offices, that those things are in play. Now, you talked about like your priorities and the things that are important. As folks have talked about, you know, on the Republican side of things, Tom Tiffany running for office. One of the things I said this morning is that a number of things that we have seen legislatively, policy-wise, happening around the country, we have been insulated from because we've had divided government. And that having a Democratic governor, Evers more specifically, has been a stopgap or a firewall in some of the things that we've seen happen when Republicans have controlled both the state legislature, the executive branch, and in some cases, the state Supreme Court. Are there any things that stand out for you that our listeners should be particularly concerned about as you talk about running this campaign, and if you were up against Tom Tiffany in that November election?
Absolutely. I think what scares me about Tom Tiffany is that he's not his own man. He is Donald Trump's rubber stamp. And in Wisconsin, I think that we value independent thinkers. We value people who do not always go with the status quo, do not just take orders from party leadership. And that's the biggest difference between me and Tom Tiffany. Not just that I'm a Democrat, that I'm a progressive, that I've got experience in actually getting things done to help people, but it's that I think for myself. And I've always been willing to stand up to my own party leadership when I thought they were wrong, even though, you know, most of the time what I'm doing is standing up to Donald Trump and bullies and billionaires on the right that are trying to make it harder for everyday people to make ends meet. And I think that's a really important quality that I can bring and contrast with Tom Tiffany, who has never done anything to help Wisconsinites. In fact, every action that he's taken has made our lives worse, right? Devastating cuts to health care, to SNAP, which is nutrition support, to tariffs that are putting our farmers and small businesses out of business. And of course, cheerleading Trump's illegal wars that are killing us at the gas pump.
So look, we like I said, these campaigns, these election cycles, they come with ebbs and flows. There were people, because ballots had already started to be mailed out. We know with the announcement yesterday of the county executive, David Crawley, getting out of the race. There are some folks that just called our station this morning behind the scenes and said, I've already voted. So what happens now? As someone who's an attorney and, who has been in the legislature, for folks who are finding themselves like needing to make a different choice, or they want to understand what happens if they've already cast that early ballot vote, can you help give some information about that?
Yes. If you need to cancel your absentee ballot, you can reach out to your local clerk, and you should be able to vote on election day. But I'm actually not sure, because there's been numerous court cases about how you can spoil your ballot.
Right.
And the Elections Commission, this has been an issue that they've had some cases about.
So we are definitely going to be trying to get that information. And I just wanted to find out, any thoughts, with the county exec stepping out of the race, was one of the first people, I think, to throw his hat in the ring. And I know you've had the opportunity to work with the county exec. So just any thoughts on that aspect?
Well, I have so much respect and admiration for David Crawley, and I also just have a lot of affection for him as a person. I'm actually sad that he's not in the race, because I think that he and I are the folks that have the most experience and the longest track records of actually being able to deliver for people. And I think that really matters in a governor, right? Especially at a time, Michelle, when for the first moment in 15 years, we're actually going to have the possibility of being able to govern. So we don't just need a goalie. I mean, thank goodness we've had Tony Evers as our goalie. But boy, this is an era when we could actually do things like raise the minimum wage, make it easier for working people to make ends meet, lower the cost of healthcare by letting everybody participate and buy into the state plan. There's so much we could do. Make childcare universally available for parents and affordable. But we need a governor who can actually get things done. And I think, David and I both had the most experience on the stage. And so I'm sad to see race, because I think he's got so much to offer our state.
Well, for folks that are interested in either reaching out to you, learning more about the campaign, understanding additional platform issues, how should they go about trying to contact the campaign?
Well, you can certainly go to my website, which is Kelda Roys, Kelda, like Zelda with a K, Roys, ROYS.com. And my phone number, my email is on there. Reach out, or you can follow us on social media. We love getting questions. And you'll see my detailed policy proposals. I don't just have bullet points that some consultant wrote for me. I've got actual bills that are ready to get passed on day one. And that's why some of the right-wing commentators say that I'm the one who scares them the most, because I'm ready to go.
Well, I have not been shy. When I admire people, and because I respect hustle, I respect work, I respect intellect. And I think about many of the people that I could say were some of my favorite people when I was in the Capitol. You, Chris Taylor. I mean, I would tell Lena all the time, if we got to go to a fight, it's certain people you taking with you to the fight. And
you're going to take these loudmouth lawyers.
It is. Yeah, all of you lawyers. That's true. That's so true. But, I will reach out to you again. We'll get other folks in. And, I'll say this. I've not denied anybody the opportunity to come on the show. The doors are open for any candidate that wants to reach out. Kelda is just someone that has always said, hey, Michelle, I want to call in. And look, and I called her Kelda as opposed to senator, because I'm just that comfortable, with this woman. And that's the way she always, made you feel in the building as staff. There was never this us against them. because there were some legislators you would interact with and they would be like, know your place. Like you could see it written all over them. And you just were never that kind of person. Like, hey, we all up here to fight and we all playing different roles, but we're all on the same team. So I always respected that about you, Senator Roys. I really have. So thank you so much for making time for our listeners this morning. Remind people one more time how they can find out more information about you and the campaign.
You just go to keldaroys.com. And I will say I did find the answer to the question. Yes, you may cancel your absentee ballot. Just request to do so with your clerk. You can vote early or vote on election day and cancel your ballot if you've already cast it.
And so when we're saying the clerk, that means the election commission or the county clerk. We'll get that cleared up because I know somebody just hit me and said when she says clerk, who are we talking about?
Municipal clerk.
Municipal clerk.
City, town, or village. Yeah.
Yep. So we'll make sure that people are clear on that because this is going to be a thing for some folks right now. Kelda, I'm going to definitely try and talk to you again before we get to August 11th. We are just about 4 days away. Something like that. So I will reach out again, but thank you for making time for us this morning and we'll talk soon.
Thank you so much, Michelle. Good to be with you.
Yes, ma'am. All right, family. So that was gubernatorial candidate Kelda Roys and currently a senator in the state legislature. Am I taking a break or am I done? What's today? Okay, so let me take a quick break. When we come back, we'll wrap the show. Be right back, y'all. I'm glad that Keith Parrish just entered the studio and said, why is it so hot in here? I'm glad that someone else knows that it's not me that realizes that Jermaine goes through menopause and that everyone else has to suffer because of his hot flashes.
Well, if they will open up some of these windows.
Cold flashes and the fan blowing on just him. Oh, I'm sorry. That was inside baseball. All right, y'all. I got to get ready to get out of here. But for that question, yes, voters who have already returned an absentee ballot by mail may request in writing that their returned absentee ballot be spoiled so that they can vote a new one or get a new one. Voters may appear in person at their clerk's office. This is the municipal clerk until the end of in-person absentee voting hours and ask to have the ballot spoiled so the clerk can issue a new absentee ballot. Office. I'll get that number for folks next week, but you can look it up on your own. But yes, thank you so much to the caller who raised that, that you can, if you have already voted for David Crawley, request that your ballot be spoiled so that you will in fact have an option to vote for someone else. All right. Somebody said, yeah, it was pretty hot in here. Oh, Happiness Donuts came up here. She dropped off, she dropped off a gift card for, Happiness Donuts is a she. And she dropped off a gift card for the family.
She didn't bring me nothing. Oh, that was just my inside talking out loud.
You know what?
Sometimes I'll be having Tourette's, I just blurt out stuff that I feel inside.
Let's not blame
Hollywood
that let's not blame that on Tourette's. Let's blame it on your mom and daddy. All right, y'all. That is the show for this week. Oh my God, I'm getting ready. Did we ever deal with my 4th of July? I don't think we did.
No, but you can come check me out Saturday, though.
Where are you going to be at Saturday?
Rose Park. Come check me out. Clinton Road.
Oh, you're the entertainment for this Saturday.
4 to 5. Come check me out.
4 to 5?
4 to 5. 4 to 5. We got to go, man. Bye.
We got 5. We got 5.
Okay.
Yeah, come check me out.
All right, y'all. Thank y'all. Y'all be safe this weekend. Talk to y'all on Monday. Peace.